You don't start in a dark room with satellite feeds and secrets. You start with forms, a background check that asks the same questions 3 different ways. Fingerprints, interviews, a reminder that in this job, your life isn't just yours anymore. It becomes something the system can audit. At the first level of military intelligence, you are not an operator. You are a cleared beginner with a badge that only works on the outer doors. You learn the language before you learn the work. Need to know, sources and methods, classification, spillage, read in, debrief. You learn that the most dangerous sentence isn't, "I don't know." It's, "I heard." Because "I heard" means you can't prove it, can't trace it, and can't defend it. It floats, and floating information kills people. Then you become the next thing, a junior analyst. This is where the romance collapses into fluorescent light. You sit in a windowless room where the air feels filtered twice. Screens, tabs, databases, message traffic that never stops. Your job is not to be clever, it's to be correct while tired. You summarize, you highlight, you build timelines out of scraps. You learn that most intelligence is not a shocking secret, it's a small confirmation that lets a commander sleep for one more night. You also learn the first quiet truth of the field. You don't fight the enemy, you fight uncertainty, and uncertainty is infinite. If you're competent, you move up into a real seat in the machine, all-source analyst. Now you're expected to fuse pieces that were never designed to fit neatly together. A report from one unit, a photo from another, a pattern of life that looks normal until it doesn't. You learn to write in a way that sounds calm even when the information is ugly. You learn what assessment really means, taking incomplete data and turning it into a decision someone else will bet lives on. You start caring about words, likely, possibly, unconfirmed, high confidence, low confidence. These aren't just hedges, they're brakes. They keep your certainty from becoming a weapon pointed at your own side. Then you hit the first fork in the ladder. Some people become collectors, not the ones who write the story, but the ones who decide what the story will have to be made from. Collection management, tasking, requirements. You learn that collection is a hungry god. There's never enough coverage, never enough time, never enough priority, never enough bandwidth. Everyone wants their question answered first. Everyone thinks their mission is the main mission. You learn to say no in professional language. You learn to trade. You learn to time requests like weather. And you learn another truth. The most powerful person in the room is often the one who controls what gets looked at. Others go technical, signals, imagery, cyber-related intel support. If you go SIGINT, you learn patience at industrial scale. You learn that listening is work, not eavesdropping. That meaning hides inside noise, and the noise never ends. You live with the awareness that you're always one misread pattern away from chasing a ghost. If you go imagery, you learn to stare until the world changes. A shadow that wasn't there yesterday, a vehicle parked wrong, a cleared patch of ground that means something only if you remember what nothing looked like last week. You learn that a single pixel can become a mission, and a mission can become a funeral. If you go human support, you learn that people are the messiest source on earth. They lie for money, lie for pride, lie for survival, lie because they don't know they're lying. You learn that human terrain is not a phrase. It's a warning. No matter which path you take, eventually you reach a level where intel stops being personal work and becomes teamwork. The watch floor, the fusion cell, the place where information hits at all hours and nobody gets to choose when the day becomes urgent. You sit with headphones, screens, maps, chat windows, and the constant sound of someone's clock counting down to something. Here, you learn what intelligence feels like during real operations. It feels like waiting, then scrambling. Waiting for a report. Waiting for confirmation. Waiting for the one piece that makes the picture stop wobbling. Then suddenly it arrives, and you have minutes to be right. You learn to brief fast without sounding rushed. You learn to hand off smoothly. You learn to trust teammates without fully relaxing around them because the work is compartmented and you're all carrying different pieces of the same puzzle. Then you become a senior analyst or NCOIC. Now you manage people who are younger versions of you, smart, tired, eager to prove themselves, and one bad assumption away from writing something that will echo for months. You stop doing only analysis and start doing protection. Protecting standards, protecting discipline, protecting a process that catches errors before those errors turn into confident lies. You teach the junior troops that intel is not trivia, it's responsibility. That a cool detail is worthless if it isn't reliable. That the goal isn't to sound smart. The goal is to be useful. At this level, you also begin to feel the pressure from above. Command wants certainty. Intel can rarely give it. So you learn the hardest skill in the profession, speaking truth without creating paralysis, giving risk without creating panic, saying we don't know yet in a way that still helps someone act. Then comes the shift into leadership on paper. The officer track, S2, G2 staff. Now, you are not just producing intelligence, you are shaping how an organization consumes it. You plan briefs. You decide what goes into the commander's update and what stays in the annex. You learn that attention is a budget, and the commander's attention is the most expensive currency in your unit. You also learn that intelligence is never delivered into an empty room. It lands in politics, egos, career incentives, public messaging, higher headquarters narratives. You watch good analysis get ignored because it's inconvenient. You watch thin analysis get amplified because it supports the plan. You learn that being right isn't the same as being listened to. So you start building influence the only way you can, by being consistent, by being clear, by being the person who doesn't overreact and doesn't oversell. If you keep rising, you reach the operational level, brigade, division, joint task force. Now your world expands, more sources, more partners, more competing priorities, more people who need the same information for different reasons. You coordinate across agencies and allies, each with their own rules and their own red lines. At this level, the job becomes less about finding facts and more about managing risk. What can we share? What can't we? What will compromise a source? What will compromise the mission? What will compromise us politically? You learn that secrecy isn't just protection, it's friction, and friction changes outcomes. Then you reach the strategic level, national intel, theater-level assessments, big maps, long timelines, abstract language that tries to fit human chaos into neat categories. Here, you learn the final truth of military intelligence. It doesn't exist to know everything. It exists to reduce surprise, and surprise always wins sometimes. You brief leaders who want clean answers. You give them probabilities. You watch them turn probabilities into decisions, then turn decisions into speeches that sound certain. You learn to live with the discomfort of watching nuance get simplified because the world demands simple stories. And if you reach the very top senior leadership, director-level roles, you learn something colder. The higher you go, the less intelligence is about information, and the more it's about consequence. A single sentence you approve can redirect resources, shape alliances, start investigations, trigger raids, stop raids, justify escalation, justify restraint. People will quote your words like scripture and blame your words like sins. You become careful in ways you never had to be when you were just a junior analyst behind a screen. Because now you know what every level of this life has been preparing you for, to carry uncertainty without dropping it on everyone else. So, what is life at every level of military intelligence? At the bottom, you learn silence and procedure. Then you learn analysis under fatigue. Then you learn collection and patience. Then you learn the watch floor waiting and sprinting. Then you learn leadership protecting standards and people. Then you learn staff work turning truth into something command can use. Then you learn strategy turning chaos into forecasts. And at the top, you learn the hardest part. Intelligence isn't the truth. It's the best possible picture you can build before the moment passes, and you live with what happens when that picture is wrong.